Last week I was called racist, not for the first time, but I mean every time I've been called racist,
Sorry,
I haven't actually been racist. But this is Victoria Coren. So she's I don't know who she is. She's the daughter of BBC comedian Alan Coren, and she overcame that difficult start in life to become a BBC comedian. Definitely no Tory-style nepotism going on there. She's also the wife of David Mitchell, the fat one from Peep Show. Do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
No chin. He's in that meme, are we the bad guys? Which is quite appropriate. So basically, to give a bit of context, Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe is an Iranian British dual citizenship person who has been imprisoned in Iran. She went to Iran against the advice of the Foreign Office, went to Iran and was imprisoned for 6 years for allegations of spying, I think it was.
But also because she's a national of Iran, like citizenship of Iran, it's not really our problem. At least this is a perspective a lot of people have, because it's like, well, she's their citizen and that's her decision, therefore.
She only gained dual citizenship in 2013, I think it was, because you told me that. And basically, Britain had to pay £400 million to get her back. And then she was released, and her husband as well campaigned tirelessly for her release. He went on hunger strike and stuff. And so, when she was released after, the government paid £400 million to Iran to get her back, she had this press conference, and she was a bit snide to her husband, I thought, and also she criticised the UK government,
not the Iranians,
a lot for she slammed us because we didn't get her out sooner.
Yes, but the other side of your citizenship imprisoned you, and
she didn't criticise the Iranian government at all. And apparently she's got family in Iran, so she can't. But we can see. So anyway, I discussed her release on this show, Headliners, which we do on GB News at 11 p.m. every night, and it's just a fun show. We just zip through about 20 news stories in an hour from the next morning's headlines. So if you want to just play this from the start, I do my joke right at the start.
Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe had some rather pointed words for the government at her first press conference back in the UK. A little bit of a marital dispute, in fact.
Yeah, so this is reported in the Daily Mail and the Independent. So Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe, which is Iranian for ungrateful.
She certainly split the room, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has. And, so she had this press conference, had a right old go at the British government for spending, like, what was it, £400 million to get her back?
She's supposed to be a charity worker.
Yeah,
could you not think how much we could have done with that £400 million? Imagine how many sponsored walks that would have covered.
I'd rather buy some Stinger missiles for Ukraine than... I think we can see why Iran...
in a way, I can understand why she doesn't feel grateful, because she probably recognises that it wasn't done as an act of generosity towards her, was it?
Watching the whole thing. But yeah, so Victoria Coren Mitchell tweeted saying, "My word, it's not that video. My word, I'm not one to criticise other people's attempts at TV." Oh, that's good. She's not one to criticise other people's attempts at TV. But if this stumbly, cackling, racist incompetence is what GB News puts out as a trailer, what on earth is the rest of it like? Turns out she does criticise other people's attempts at TV. So I tweeted back to her asking her to explain why she called me racist. She called the joke racist. So I said, according to Victoria Coren, my comments about Nazanin Zaghari, I called her Nazanin Zaghari Markle, which again was seized on as being racist, but actually it's about ingratitude.
Yeah, but also the fundamental joke has nothing to do with race; it has to do with language.
Oh yeah. We'll get onto that. So my comments about Nazanin Zaghari Markle are racist. Could anyone explain this? Even put myself in the mindset of an overthinking, self-loathing white saviour wokist, I can't stretch to find the racism. And then she wrote a 5,000-word social scientist dissertation about why it's racist. So I mean, brevity is wit. But and she says, I'm about to post a long, possibly boring thread. It was boring, and I had to read it because it was about me, and I feel like I've been robbed. I didn't even count towards my class mark.
I would have just clicked off.
It didn't even. It was honestly like reading somebody's university course. But there's a reason Twitter's got a character limit. But if we scroll down and see the relevant bits. Basically, she says, "Hi, Leo. Okay, look, I'm going to take it at face value that you genuinely don't see what I mean. It seemed patronising to explain when you first asked. I was being sincere when I said you're obviously bright. Oh, she thinks I'm bright. I am. I'm dead smart. And I assume you get it. Also, tweets are limited, so it'll take a lot of blah, blah, blah. And where is it? And so she says Nazanin Zaghari Markle. Again, that's not racist, Jesus. Blah, blah, blah. She goes, oh, yeah, so in it you say Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe is Iranian for ungrateful, but Iranian isn't a language. The language is Farsi.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
But the thing is, Farsi...
But also, who cares?
Well, for a start...
We refer to languages all the time by different words if we need to.
For a start, Farsi isn't the only language spoken in Iran. Iran is a multi-ethnic country.
The Armenians in the north and whatnot.
Yeah. So Farsi is spoken by like half the population. Also, one of my best mates, Darius, is Iranian. I know all this stuff. I've dated Iranian women. I know about Farsi, but the joke wouldn't be as accessible and wouldn't be as funny if I'd said Farsi. Like saying Iranian is, you're sort of, when you're telling a joke, you're sort of getting into I'm getting into the mindset of, the sort of man in the pub. It's Iranian. It's Iranian.
It's like the objective is
it's
to make
Iranian.
people laugh.
They speak Iranian. You know what I mean? It's not funny if I'm like, oh, well, actually, they speak Farsi. Like, whatever. It's like, it's definitely funnier if you say Iranian. And like, all right, there's going to be some people saying, oh, but it's not funny if you have to explain it. It's like, I shouldn't have to explain it. You know what I mean? And also, like, not everything has to be funny for everybody. But anyway, so Victoria continues, you're saying her name or she stands for something Iranian as a sort of concept. And no, I'm basically saying she's ungrateful. And she says, and it's a negative concept, it's nasty, it's ungrateful. In your joke, when you mix an unpleasant quality with the nature of being Iranian, you get this woman. No. That's absolutely, like, where is she pulling this from? What madness is this?
That's extension of, you can never say anything negative about anything Iranian, because that means you're saying everything Iranian is negative.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's insane.
I'm not criticizing Iran. I am absolutely not criticizing. I don't think
Glory to Iran.
I think Iran's a wonderful country. It does. I love their approach to LGBTQ rights. I love their approach to women's rights. I love
Independence of Balochistan.
I love the vicious racism and terrorism that's funded and supported by the government. What's not to love about Iran? I think Iran's wonderful.
Rest in peace, Soleimani. He was a good boy. He didn't do nothing.
In case Victoria Coren is watching this, I'm being sarcastic. That's what comedians do sometimes. We're not always speaking the absolute literal truth. When I say anyway, but also Iran isn't a race. If I criticize Iran, I'm not being racist. I'm being at worst xenophobic against a particular country. But I wasn't.
You could do worse than Iran.
Iran's a multi-ethnic country, so I wasn't criticizing a particular race. I wasn't criticizing Iran anyway, so I wasn't even being xenophobic. And I was criticizing one specific person, and that person was
Victoria
Zaghari Ratcliffe.
Victoria's very certain that Iran did nothing wrong ever. And you dare say anything negative about anything Iranian that might besmirch the good name of Iran.
Yeah. And and also, I'm not saying she eats babies. I'm saying she's a bit ungrateful to her husband and to the country that got her out,
office.
and also isn't mentioning anything about the country that locked her up for 6 years and does terrible things. I mean, the Iranian regime. Fair enough. She thinks it's a bad joke. You can say it's a bad joke. Fine. I personally think for a joke to be truly funny, some people have to find it completely unfunny. It's like, when you're in school and like somebody cracks a joke. I mean, I know when you were in school, I'm assuming you don't get into school now, but somebody makes a joke and the teacher says that's absolutely not funny. It makes it funnier.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It just does. I don't know how it works. But calling it racist is something else. And her explanation of it is incoherent, doesn't match any sort of recognised definition of racism. It's nonsense. So... And also, she previously defended Jimmy Carr for his joke about gypsies. So he said that he basically made a joke saying the hundreds of thousands of gypsies, Roma gypsies and stuff that were killed in the Holocaust was a positive. And obviously, he wasn't being serious. He didn't because he was making a joke.
Yeah, no, well known for promoting Holocaust against the gypsies, Jimmy Carr. I mean, it's all he talks about. I mean, this joke was a long line of statements in which he unironically was just like, some more camps would be good.
Yeah.
No, it was
he definitely didn't do it at a comedy gig or anything.
No,
like that.
on stage, filming a comedy gig.
So, but anyway, Jimmy's joke, is objectively, there's no you have to go through so many mental gymnastics to see my joke is racist. Jimmy's joke, much more straightforwardly, objectively, can be seen as racist if you take it at literal value.
There's actually an ethnic group there.
The implied, and even the sort of implied, it hinges on society, recognition of society looking down on this group, or this group not being welcome in society. So, although obviously he's using a hyperbole to say like the Holocaust was positive, but she tweeted in support of Jimmy Carr with his joke about the Holocaust and gypsies. So I mean that's definitely, if you scroll down you can actually see her tweet. So she, I love Jimmy Carr, friend who's made 1,000 jokes. I wouldn't make myself. He's a properly decent person. I mean, well, yeah, that's great that you can see him as wonderful. We should extend that to other people. And she also criticised my colleague Diane Spencer for forgetting her lines. So this is interesting. This is quite revealing about what she says. It's genuinely worth watching the GB News clip for the bit where the inexplicably guffawing woman forgets her lines and just says so. Now, inexplicably guffawing, she's not inexplicably guffawing. She's laughing because I've said a joke and she finds it funny. And Victoria doesn't find it funny. I'm sure everything Victoria says is found hilarious by everybody. But what she says is the woman doesn't name her or anything, just, minimizes her, dehumanizes her by calling her a woman, forgets her lines. Man, we don't have lines in that show. We come up with that. We ad-lib it. We've got like an hour before the show. We go through 20 stories and we make a couple of notes, and then we're just riffing. The show is.
Could you imagine
Victoria,
sitting down and writing everything?
Well, sure, yeah, for an hour-long show about the next day's news. We don't only get the stories an hour before, but it shows that Victoria Coren, when she's doing a show, she's got writers, she's got a script, so. That's what's revealing about that. Victoria, sorry, I write my own jokes. And I come up with that show's ad-libbed. So we're constantly running that line. And I think it's a lot better than some of your scripted stuff. I'm sorry.
But hey, if she wants to come on and prove that wrong.
Well, funny enough, Darius, who's Iranian, that I do the Three Speech podcast with, invited her on and she didn't reply because she's racist against Iranians. So she snubbed him. So she, I mean, it's good to see sisters supporting each other, but I'm proud of the show and I'm proud of that segment. I think the show, works as a concept. In that segment about Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, we didn't just, all right, I make some crass jokes because I love making crass jokes. It's my favourite kind of joke. But we cover the real politique of, shifting geopolitical loyalties and, energy due to the Ukraine invasion. So we're having to butter up and get cozy up to Iran a bit more because we can't get our oil and gas from Russia. And Simon made a comment about the prayer mat. And Nazanin, we mentioned Nazanin might have been radicalized while she was in jail. But, it was a jokey reference to Homeland. We don't because that's what happened in Homeland. And, there's no way that's racist either. And regardless of whether, Victoria agrees with my joke or not, it's a valid comment that represents the opinions of people who aren't typically seen or heard in mainstream comedy on the BBC. That joke wouldn't have been cracked on any BBC thing. They would have just, gone with the stale, lame, the British government's racist, Britain's racist, everybody have a go at Britain. And it worked as a joke because people found it funny. A lot of people found it funny. Not everybody has to find a joke funny for it to be funny. And, if you pick it apart, it might not seem as funny because you're seeing it shorn of delivery, context, nuance, character, and irony. I mean, Victoria takes the joke at literal face value. And leaves no room for the concept that I might have been joking. And Victoria has said worse things than me or even Jimmy Carr, such as in this clip, where she let you see what she does.
Victoria's dictionary is my own dictionary.
No way.
Yeah.
Right.
Includes all rude words. I've customised the cover. You see, it's got. I've done this over the years. Various sort of creatures. It did have a Nike tick on it, but they said you can't have brand names, so I've just changed it into a swastika.
So she's drawn a swastika on her book.
I can't believe she's joined the Nazi party.
This is what that's the only inference I can conclude. She can't be making a joke.
Nah.
She must be a Nazi. And she's, even if she's not a Nazi, what she's doing is minimizing the death of 8 million Jews in the Holocaust. It's absolutely. I'm genuinely offended and disgusted. And
I imagine Taskmaster the next time she goes on is going to be a bit awkward.
It's
They'll
probably
walk around
gonna
with a
be, she's probably going to have to build a concentration camp with dressed as a bunny rabbit or something. So Victoria herself is openly a Nazi.
Now we know.
And what's interesting, she's also classist as well. Like in some of the other tweets, I couldn't find them, but she was talking about me as if I wasn't as intelligent and educated and all that sort of stuff. And I see this a lot with the BBC, because everybody that does BBC comedy, most of them were Oxbridge educated, and they see me with my rough calloused hands and my provincial accent. They assume that I'm some oik. But actually, I'm middle class. I go up to Scotland, I'm totally middle class. I had to come to England to be working class.
Do you get that with Yorkshiremen as well? Just like, no matter how upper class they are in Yorkshire, they could be the richest guy in all of Yorkshire, but they come down to the south and it's like, man, you must have had a rough life.
Yeah, but it's like, do you know how to use cutlery? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm posh. I'm posh. Like in Scotland, I'm literally posh. I've got credit cards, everything. Anyway.
I've got 2 cows.
Yeah. Is Victoria even correct, and Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe even correct to blame the current government? The £400 million debt for tanks is for tanks that Iran ordered from the UK, 1,500 I think, from the Labour government in the 70s. But they weren't delivered after the UK-friendly Shah of Iran was deposed in the Islamic Revolution and replaced with a sort of less UK-friendly death to the West type regime. And the debt, we owed this money for the tanks we didn't give them, but the debt couldn't be paid while we were in the EU because EU sanctions against Iran stopped it. So by taking us out of the EU, the current Tory government enabled the release of a prisoner who's being held for ransom for money stolen from Iran by Labour.
So she owes her release to Brexit.
She owes a release to Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, and the woman who put the cat in the bin, and the person responsible for her is the Labour Party. Person responsible for Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe.
What do you make of this rumour? Because I've seen people rumouring around that she's actually trying to cozy up with Labour by blaming the government to then have a position as a Labour Party MP and run in the next election.
Oh God!
Do you think that's true?
I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't
What's
either.
happened to the Labour Party? They've got their next logo, their next emblem should just be like, we hate our former white British, indigenous working class base. We absolutely loathe and detest you. We see you as the absolute underclass and we'll do anything in our power to destroy you.
Hashtag Palestine.
Yeah. Hashtag women have got penises. You know what I mean?
Oh.
It's absolutely nonsense. They really need to recapture this idea that Britain's this horrible racist place. It's not true. Right. It's absolutely not true. All right, there's some racism somewhere, but this is why I think calling someone racist should be a hate crime. So at the moment, if you commit a crime, if you shout racist abuse at someone, then that's a hate crime. But I think calling someone racist without any evidence or justification should also be a hate crime because it stirs up hatred. It's far more hatred and abuse. I mean,
it's grounds for defamation or libel.
Man, if you go out in the street and shout racist abuse at someone, everybody's going to turn around at you and be like, "What on earth are you doing?" Because people aren't horrible. Whereas if you go out in the street and shout, "Oh, he's a racist," people are going to be like, "Oh, he's a racist," and go. You see it on Twitter every day. You know what I mean? You see it with the Victoria Coren calling me a racist. All her little acolytes piling on me, directing all this hate towards me. It's a hate crime, and it's clear that the word racist is being completely decoupled from its original definition, and is now as meaningful as screaming witch. I mean, Victoria, of all people, should know this. It's her brother Giles was cancelled from his TV show after being accused of being a racist, incidentally by Saima Ferdows, who just calls everybody a racist. She called me a racist and got me in loads of trouble. And that's why I've got the
certificate.
I've got the letter, the certificate of non-racism. It's just a thing that people do these days, and it's completely devalued the word racist. So now when I see somebody being called racist on Twitter, my first thought isn't, oh, they're a racist. It's like, oh, that person wants to smear that person. That person wants to get that person shunned and cast them out. And the reasons for calling people racist have nothing to do with racism. So Simon Ferdows called me racist because I'm right wing, even though the Tories have got the most ethnically diverse cabinet in UK political history, proving that ethnicity is no barrier to forming a terrible government. So that's being right wing isn't racist in and of itself. Victoria Coren calls me racist because I've criticised one person who I didn't actually know. I didn't even know she was black. You know what I mean?
She's Iranian.
No, she's Iranian. But you know what I mean? Like,
literally the Aryan race.
I didn't know she was. I didn't know she was Iranian until she spoke at the press conference. I just you don't assume. Like, I don't know why the left always have to jump. They take identity so seriously.
I don't know, man.
I've got to find out who this person is, where they're from. It's like I just thought she was. Loads of people in Britain have got names like.
She's part of the Aryan race, so I mean, denounced for being a Nazi anyway.
Right? Yeah. And there isn't as much racism as there was back in the 70s or whatever. Certainly, white on BAME racism. So now calling people racist is the number one way of showing, hey, look, everybody, I'm not a racist, but that person is. And now racism directed at white people is completely accepted and cheered on in the popular media. So I think we've got a video here of Sophie Duker.
This is
a comedian. She tells a joke about killing white people.
Like, white power is Trump Tower. Like, these things are put against each other. But when we say we want to kill Whitey, we don't really mean we want to kill Whitey. We do. But when we say we want to kill Whitey, it's like a capitalist. Not today.
We're going to finish the show.
But when people react to people saying that white privilege, whiteness is a capitalist structure. It benefits itself. It hurts white people. It hurts non-black people. It hurts black people. But still, this kind of fear of a black alternative. And it's these sort of rhetorics battled against each other, these extreme capitalist rhetorics of supremacy.
Like, oh, tell me more.
So that's comedy. That's good comedy.
Yeah, there's just the obvious question, of course. Would the BBC broadcast Jimmy Carr's joke about gypsies? No, it's racist, can't be shown, blah, blah, blah. But a joke about killing white people, that's fine because it agrees with progressive ideology.
But this is openly, she openly states she wants to kill white people, which is, man, like Jimmy Carr didn't do anything that bad. That's an open call to violence against white people, and it's not like she's speaking from a position of no privilege. She's immensely privileged. She's wealthy, privately educated,
on state media.
Oxbridge educated, had a easy route into comedy and all the rest of it, and obviously being ethnic is an absolute benefit.
Yeah, and being a woman
in contemporary times. So and being a woman and also being queer. So she's queer.
Is she queer?
It's one of these things. Everybody just says they're queer now, but it doesn't mean anything.
Well, you can be bisexual and do nothing, can't you?
Well, they say they're queer. Like quite a few comedians have come out and said, "Oh, I'm queer. I've never had any same-sex experience." So I'm like, man, come on. At least have some. If you let one out, I will respect you. You can't be hijacking. You can't be hijacking that.
So is this you being like, this is our word?
This is our word. Don't take this from me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I got married. My best man was Iranian. I don't know if we've got a picture of him. There he is. The bad lad of global jihad himself, Mr. Darius Davies.
Average Iranian male.
Yeah, he's that's how he dresses every day. He is, that's him. And you can listen to us on. We do a podcast together. It's called Free Speech Podcast, which is very funny. And yeah, he's Iranian.
And he praises Iran every episode, or
he'd sometimes
just
leads us in an Islamic cult prayer. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, he's my best mate. So I mean, some of my friends are black. People. But honestly, my best mate is Iranian.
Yeah, so I don't get that. Where people are like, "That's a pathetic racist response." It's like, no, the clan don't have black friends.
Yeah,
you dummy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a pathetic response; it's a statement of reality.
Yeah. It's mental. And yeah, and I guarantee, all these people who, point the finger about racism are all uptight as anything, have a real stick up their ass when they're around people of colour. I also woke people are the most racist. During Black Lives Matter, they're all posting pictures of 58 books they read on how to not be a racist. And I think most people can not be a racist by not being a racist. If you have to read 58 books on how to not be a racist, you might be a bit of a racist. But anyway, to play us out, I know we've gone over time, sorry about that. But I've got some video of Victoria Coren's stand-up. And obviously, she had a real tough time coming from a mining town and, working as a dishwasher to save up to get the bus down to London. Nah, Dad's BBC comedian. She had the most gilded, easy path in the media of anyone. She's the most privileged, elitist, condescending, hypocritical. It's disgusting. The privilege that just reeks off these people. And you can see when they actually get these opportunities, they absolutely, just crap the bed. So let's just play us out on a bit of Victoria Coren being amazing.
I don't like growing up. I think you're getting old when your favourite day of the week is Sunday. Because how when you're a kid they're really boring, but now my idea of a good time is getting a glass of sherry and lying in front of the Waltons, trying to figure out what their poll tax bill would be. I am getting old. I was 19 a few weeks ago. Now I can't walk 200 yards in a straight line without suggesting we stop for a cup of tea and a bit of apple strudel, which I can spew out all over the table while shouting about how when I was young, you could have a night on the town, a fish supper, and still have change out of a hen. But I'm not violently ageist. I'm not one of these people that thinks it's funny just to see an old person fall over in the street or something. Unless they can't get up again, of course. Well, they brought it on themselves. I had nothing against old people at all till a couple of years ago, but they weren't content, were they? Not happy to just sit in their sheltered housing and eat walnut cake. They had to start going on blind date. I used to love that programme. I'd lie there every week, did they, didn't they, when it's 92-year-old Mavis and Ken from Bournemouth. I don't think so. Did they, didn't they make it through the morning without coughing up phlegm and talking about the first time they saw a banana would be more to the point.
Yeah, I'm British, and even I'm just like, okay. There are going to be foreigners watching that being like, what the hell?
You've seen me do comedy.
It's better.
Was it better?
It's much better.
And that's your objective opinion. That's not just because of politics.
No, but also, what the hell were any of those jokes?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm better at comedy than Victoria Coren.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Series, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series, this one, Josh, taking a look at prepping and how to prep for a disaster. And if you want to follow Josh, you can also follow him on Getter at @Josh_firm. Thank you and goodbye.